So, good morning again, everybody, and a big welcome to IFA 2019. Many thanks to GFU and Hans-Joachim Kamp and ZVI and Reinhard Zinkern for taking us through the key data and trends that are shaping our industry. This year's press conference and media days are happening 1 week later than usual. Some of you have asked me, why is that? Well, we had a hunch that this summer would get really hot, and so we thought we should allow ourselves an extra free weekend to enjoy the sunny weather. Plus, for once, we wanted to give our American friends a chance to enjoy the Labor Day weekend at home with their families. So I hope you're all well rested for an amazing 8 days ahead. As always, we are starting with our media days today and tomorrow. A packed program with 2 days of press conferences and awesome news stories awaits. On Friday, we open the doors here in our Berlin exhibition halls and kick off in a spectacular fashion. This year's keynote on Friday at 10:30 a.m. could be our most anticipated keynote yet, with Richard Yu, the Chief Executive of Huawei Consumer Business Group. Here's my promise: you will hear a great news story. Now, let's balance out this headliner from China with one from the United States. At 2 p.m., you will hear from Cristiano Amon, the president of Qualcomm. This is the company powering most of the world's cell phones. It's the global leader in 5G technology, and it is setting standards for bringing artificial intelligence to the edge of computing in all kinds of vehicles and devices. Then on Saturday, you can hear from 2 companies that both are pioneers and innovators in their own fields. Anthony Wood and his company Roku need no introduction. Roku is a rapidly growing and hugely successful disruptor that is transforming the market for streaming media. If there is a challenger to Netflix and co., then it's Roku. And finally, we will hear from Hakan Bulgurlu, the chief executive of Arçelik. Now, I know Arçelik may be a name that some of you might not recognize immediately, but I'm certain that you will know many of its 12 global brands, like Beko, Grundig, and Defy. And most of them are leaders in their respective markets. Arçelik is both an innovator and a global leader in the smart home. So make sure you catch all the keynotes here on this stage in the Grand Theater on Saturday at 10:30 a.m. and at 2 a.m. All right. Next up, on Sunday and Monday, once again, we will offer you a glimpse for the future with our IFA Plus Summit. Data is the fuel that's powering the digital world. We all have heard that. But we have tapped only a fraction of its power. The IFA Plus Summit will look at the potential of data for transforming innovation, interaction, experiences, and society. And last but not least, we round off IFA 2019 with 2 days of Shift Automotive, the shape to shape the future of mobility. This convention is now in its 2nd year. We will explore how new technologies and the co-innovation from the tech industry and the automotive sector will change how we live, how we work, and how we drive and travel. And we will discover what happens when drivers become passengers and how driving can still be a joy in a world of electric and autonomous cars. Our lineup includes speakers from Ford, Daimler, Fujitsu, the Singularity University, and many, many others. And here's my personal favorite. On Wednesday, lunchtime, please listen to the fireside chat with Jay Ward. In his spare time, Jay is an automotive consultant. His real job, however, is at Pixar Animation Studios as the creative director and guardian of the huge Cars franchise. So how cool is that? Okay, no IFA opening press conference without our numbers. Once again, we are fully booked here at our exhibition halls and at IFA Global Markets in the heart of the city at Station Berlin. We have 1,939 exhibitors this year. In terms of visitors, well, last year's numbers are good guidance. In 2018, 244,000 people came to IFA, and 152,000 of them were trade visitors, and more than half of them came from abroad. As you all know, I never get tired of saying it. IFA is the world's most important trade show for consumer electronics and home appliances, full stop. Not just here in Berlin, but also in Guangzhou at CE China, which starts just a couple of weeks from now. And next summer, of course, in New York at CE Week 2020. As you have heard earlier, our industry is doing nicely, but it's not growing at the staggering pace. So allow me to talk briefly about the elephant in the room, not just for our industry, but for the global economy. Global trade and trade wars. Look, I'm certainly not going to take sides, and I will not be the judge of what's fair and what's unfair. What interests me here and now is what's the impact on technology and innovation. In today's world of integrated supply chains, it's nearly impossible to say where an electronic device comes from. So please do me a favor. Take your phone. It doesn't matter which brand, and look at it. So, where was it made? China, maybe? But is it really a Chinese phone then? Regardless of the brand, the answer will not be clear-cut. The screen may be made in Korea. The microprocessor, probably designed in the UK. The chipset could be American. And any of its other parts could be manufactured somewhere in the US, Europe, Korea, Japan, Singapore. The electronics, they could be Chinese or Japanese or maybe Vietnamese. Licensed and patented in the US or in Ireland, and on and on and on. So today's consumer electronics is a mashup of the best or most affordable parts out there. So any trade war will not just hit the country where this device has been assembled. It will also hit consumers. It will also hit us, with the costs of tariffs, and because the products that will then be able to buy, will not be as good as they could be. Most importantly, trade wars are a setback for innovation itself. You all will have heard us speak about the power of co-innovation, how inventors in different sectors and industries inspire each other. Well, the more trade barriers and political barriers, the more innovators will find it difficult to cooperate, and even more importantly, to co-innovate. We would see innovation that is less dynamic, and that would be harmful for us all. And that is a fact. Thankfully, we have not reached this point yet. So here's my call on our industry. Let's work together to avoid such an outcome. Allow me to go back a few years to arguably the most famous opening keynote held here at IFA. It was given in 1930 by Albert Einstein. He spoke about the power of innovation and technology to build a better world. I wonder what Einstein would tell us today. And I believe he would speak up in favor of science fact and against fake news. He would celebrate the power of technology, the benefits it brings to make our lives safer and easier. And he would call on the best and brightest minds in the world, whoever they are and wherever they live, whichever country they call their home, to pool their knowledge and co-innovate to create a better world, to make a real difference for as many people as possible. Okay, let's talk IFA again. What's happening this year? What will you find on our grand stage for technology? Our IFA team always has two objectives: showcase the best innovation and inspire future co-innovation. You will see it in the keynotes and across the halls as our industry's big trends play out. So what should you watch out for on the IFA stage? Our industry is talking a lot about the promises of 5G, the next generation, high speed, huge bandwidth mobile network. Yes, 5G is being rolled out. It has the power to transform the way we live and work. But it's also time for a reality check. Right now and here, there are only a few real 5G products around. However, that will be changing rapidly. I believe that 2020 could be the first year at IFA when 5G goes large. This widespread adoption of a new technology, for artificial intelligence, it's what we are already witnessing. And remember, just a few years back, AI was not something tangible. It was more of a promise than a real offering. But this week, at this year's IFA, you will see how connectivity and artificial intelligence are becoming totally integrated into our digital world. They are about to completely transform our lives, and they will be ubiquitous. We all will use these technologies quite naturally without a second thought. A few years back, many digital appliances weren't really digital, except their displays maybe. Today, nearly every single home appliance has become a truly digital device, ready to take its place in our smart homes. Have you noticed that people don't really talk about the Internet of Things anymore? That's because it's just there. It's the new normal, not tomorrow's promise. Voice, we already heard about it, is becoming more and more a key user interface. Artificial intelligence is turning our homes into new living spaces, smart cocoons that basically adjust to our needs, whether we want to work, relax, or have a cinema experience at home. The Americans among us, you all know the fairy tale of Rip Van Winkle. It's the story of a man in the 18th century who falls asleep under a tree and wakes up 20 years later into a completely different world. Well, I bet you, if you would go to sleep right now for just 5 years and wake up in time for IFA 2025, you will struggle to recognize many consumer electronics devices and household appliances. Voice and AI will have totally transformed then, that's a fact. And if you want to get a first glimpse of this future, then visit IFA Next, our innovation hub in Hall 26. Once again, IFA Next will be bigger and better this year because it has been a huge success with both our visitors and exhibitors. And that's why this year, for the first time, we have selected a country as the innovation partner for IFA Next. And this country is Japan. Our team constantly travels the world, visits many countries, companies, and ideation hubs. But coming to Japan is always a very special experience. It's a country of innovation giants, we all know, like Sony, which spans the full range of the digital consumer experience, not just in its own mobile phones and TVs, but for every digital device with movies, music, and gaming in the living room. Companies like Panasonic, a leader in creating the networked house, energy, and home appliances. If this were Silicon Valley companies, I know quite a few tech media that would not let a day go by without breathlessly reporting their latest exploits. But Japan is also a home to an incredibly lively startup scene, a very international scene with global reach. This country is going through a revolution right now, and it will completely transform Japan's startup culture, not just for homegrown entrepreneurs, but also startups from around the world. So make sure you set aside some time to explore IFA Next and please see what our partner country has to offer. So thank you very much. I'll leave you with a message from this year's innovation partner, and Keita Nishiyama of the Japanese Ministry of Economics, Trade and Industry. He will talk to you for roughly 5 minutes, and after that we will have our Q&A session. Many thanks and see you later.